The Christopher Commission didn't publish, but developed a list of 44 L.A. police officers who are accused of using excessive force with citizens. Excessive force. Handcuffed, beating, punched around, back seat of the cruiser, police station, roughed up, you're in custody. One of the officers on the list is Henry J. Cuisine, an officer of the Los Angeles Police Department. You were number 33 on the bad cop list. The list was published by the Los Angeles Times. Pretend you pick up the Sunday paper and there's your daddy, your uncle, your brother, your lover in the paper. Among the complaints, Officer Cuisine. In 1987, you were involved in a brawl in an Arizona bar on the night before an LAPD football game. You're a linebacker for the football team. The year after that, you were suspended another 4 days for a fight while you were moonlighting as a private security guard outside a church. During the altercation, you said a man spray painted your face, so you knocked him to the ground and poured ammonia all over the man's face. The next year, you took a 44-day suspension for another fight, this from the LA Times. This one with a group of Asian American youths after a traffic squabble. They hit me, so I hit them back, you said. You're quoted as saying, simple as that, no harm, no foul. In June 1991, a month before the Christopher report was released, you were penalized another 22 days for shoving a private security guard who was trying to arrest your friend for public drunkenness. You say that you'd been involved in 3 shootings, all of them justified. One was a fatality, a Cuban who was frightening pedestrians on Broadway with what turned out to be a plastic gun. Asked how you felt about the man's death, you responded, I'm only sorry he lived so long. Cuisine has made 4 visits to an LAPD psychologist after the Christopher report, but he said he was given no new training, although his captain recently told him to read the report to get ready for another test. You were quoted by the LA Times as saying, I came to this department to be a policeman and put bad guys in jail. I used to love my job so much. Now I answer phones and hate coming to work every day. Now they got me doing the job of a pregnant woman. Well, what are your thoughts here, officer? This is a rough hit here. You've been suspended a total of 170 days, and you've been an LAPD, an LA cop for how long?
Approximately 10 years.
What are your thoughts here as you?
My thoughts, number one, I hope everybody can see through the media as far as the LA Times. I could tell the LA Times, they could ask me about Disneyland, and I could say I love Disneyland. And then they could ask me, well, how'd you do on the roller coaster? And I could say, oh, I really hated that roller coaster ride. And the next morning, they will have me or the chief of police or any of my friends saying, I hate Disneyland, I hate the roller coaster, and I'll never go there again. Mm-hmm. A lot of that is misquotes.
Yeah. A pregnant woman, let's just talk about this for a moment. You know, look, I don't think we hang people for this. And you don't have the benefit of all kinds of public relations people helping you. You know, so, okay, it's a little rough and it sounds kind of sexist. That's really not the issue. That's not the issue. The issue is, are you a little too wise and aggressive for the badge? Do you rough people up?
No, sir.
Are you short-fused? Have you ever hit anybody handcuffed? Are you racist? Do minorities? I don't know, officer, and I assure you, here in New York City, I'm not about to suggest that I do. You are here to make your case publicly, and I appreciate that very much. I also know that it is no picnic being an officer of the law today, and I'm not going to try and strut and pretend I do. But these are serious charges made about you by the Christopher Commission, a report of which was leaked to the LA Times, and your name was in it. What's going on here? 170 days? And if I can just make this point, high school kids get in fights in bars, not grown officers of the law. What's happening here?
Okay, real briefly, as far as the pregnant women statement, I love women in general. I love pregnant women. My partner is on the desk. She's pregnant. But all that is I'm physical, fully capable police officers should, when you're pregnant and a police officer, that's when they pull you inside. They don't want to hurt your baby, and they don't want you to injure yourself. That's why you come inside. All I'm saying in that statement is I don't deserve to be inside. As Mr. Donahue was reading those comments that the Times wrote, I watched everybody's face and I heard it. You have the same exact response to someone who would be reading or seeing it, but you have no idea. As far as this ammonia in a man's face, I was working, after already doing my 12-hour shift, I was working a security job to put tennis shoes on my kids' toes and clothes on them in front of a church, and a fight breaks out in front of the church, and me and my partner, who want no trouble, who would like to make our money and go home and get 3 hours sleep before work, break up a fight. The man sprays me in the face with the ammonia bottle. He didn't, spray paint never had nothing to do with it. I don't know where the guy in the Times pulled this from the stars or something. He sprayed me in the face with ammonia after I begged him to leave for about 5 minutes. Then I was blinded. I grabbed him. I pulled him to the ground. I hit him one time. And the one time I hit him, the whole bottle exploded on both of us. I do not beat handcuffed people. I do not have to beat handcuffed people. I've had these 170 days, one of them was 90 for one incident. The Asian youths were about 24, 25 years old, ran me off the road, followed me to an intersection. Once they made a right, cut in front of me, parked in front of me, and I could not go. I sat through 2 lights. I exited my vehicle to find out what the problem was. I was not in uniform, I was off duty. He punched me in the nose. He hit me in the nose before I could say a word. I hit him back one time. As I hit him one time, his partner hit me about 8 times in the head. I then hit him one time, and then a security guard came by and said, call the police, I'm a police officer. I never identified myself as a police officer to these Asian adults. They got in karate stances, jumped around, hooped around, and I slowly calmed them down. Okay? My department, these Asian adults came to a civil review board with our department, our management, a trial board, and they said we chased him. They said we were mad. They said we hit him. We were very upset. And they said, how many times did he hit you? Well, he hit me once. And how many times did he hit you? He hit me once. And my attorney for me said, and then you hit him in the head 8 times? Oh, well, I hit him before he hit me. And I took 44 days suspension. That's not counting my regular days off. I was fined $10,000 because they said I never should have got out of my car. Don't get out of my car. You should have just sat there for an hour or so.
Mm-hmm. Phil, could I just say
yes, you certainly may. You are Morris L. Landrum. You are likewise a Los Angeles police officer. You are number 20 on the bad cop list. And you wanted to say, sir?
Yeah, basically, I just want to say that the views that we're expressing today here in this forum are that of our own and not the Los Angeles Police Department. The Los Angeles Police Department is a great organization. I'm proud to be a part of that. The Christopher Commission was formed April 1st as a result of the Rodney King beating that we all know about.
Right.
And I think it was unfairly done because they never really interviewed any of the officers involved. You know, I'm on there because of use of force. Well, a use of force could be if I grab Jerry's hand, by our standards or form, that's a use of force. Yeah. You know, the department wants you to articulate those things and so you write
and it's fly
reports.
paper. Your name's in the paper, and there it is, and it sticks, and you haven't even had a chance to make your case. So here you come across the country in an attempt to do that. I don't think there's a citizen out there that doesn't, you know, you got to be living in a cave not to understand that this is very, very complicated work today.
Phil, if I could
Some of us are wondering whether a lot of cops are just a little too frightened today and are likely to cross the line, and the videotape on Rodney King has not helped you in the public relations department even a little bit. It does not follow that you're guilty. And if I'm understanding Officer Cuisine, he is saying that the bureaucracy is now set up and the mood is there to really convict a cop for what would heretofore be thought of as appropriate police behavior. And after all, you're made of flesh and blood as well as the defense lawyers for the 4 cops up on the Rodney King rap told the jury, and you have a right to protect yourself as well. How am I doing?
Well, I'll tell you. You see, the media and the Los Angeles Times, generally, they don't really talk about the sensitivity that the officer has. They don't, you know, they have interviewed me and asked me about the time that I was in pursuit of a shooting suspect took him into custody without incident. He was the breadwinner of that house. Out of my own pocket and my partners, we brought groceries for his family. You know, they don't talk about those things, but they, you know, they shade it, and they get the, you know, the opinion of the community and the citizens out there, and it makes us think that we're like Nike, you know, just do it kind of management, and that's not the case.
But nobody here has denied the Los Angeles Times news story.
Harvey White is a lawyer. You can't go out of your house today without a lawyer. I'll give you a chance. He is suing on behalf of citizens who are claiming that they're being roughed up by cops. And the cops are saying, all right, everybody who applauded here, you go out and do that work. You run my beat. And when you're chasing down a crack suspect, and he turns like this, how much time do you have to decide whether he's got a driver's license or a .357 Magnum? You want to be a police widow?
That's not what causes those cases. Not at all.
Why don't you tell everybody what
like
does
to know,
cause them?
I mean, you can probably talk about New York, but in Los Angeles, you know, we're the second largest police department out of the 6 in the United States. Okay, Los Angeles in general, we cover 465 square miles that we police. We have the fewest officers.
You have a little over 7,000
per residence, and we have the fewer officers per square block.
And you only have one complaint from the citizenry for every 15,000 arrests. Do I have that generally right?
That's general.
And we'll be back to let these other officers make their case in just a minute. We have not yet chatted with Jerry D. Fritz, officer, LAPD. You've been on the police force, did you say, for?
21 years, almost 22.
Here's what the LA Times said about you. Reviewing then 44 officers, bad cops, Christopher Commission, examining the LAPD following the beating of Rodney King. Who else on the LAPD is roughing up civilians? According to the Christopher Commission, there are 44 on the list of bad cops. It was a secret report, and somebody leaked it to the LA Times, and it was published. Fritz has a reputation as a proactive cop, a gang expert who never shies away from confrontation, and who's always looking to make an arrest. Quoting, "He doesn't just sit in his car waiting for another call to come in," said one of his former partners. "He goes around West Valley in a manner designed to prevent crime." But Ernest Menchaca Jr. remembers how Fritz, a karate enthusiast, pushed him through a plate glass window in Canoga Park in 1981, severely cutting his right leg. "He dragged me out of the window," Menchaca said, in a disciplinary hearing, "and he gave me a chokehold, and from there I just remember I fell to the ground." Fritz was cleared of misconduct after Sergeant Ruben Delgadillo told a board of rights that Fritz was a very aggressive policeman. "He has the ability to get along with people. He has a good rapport with most of the gang members. I've never known him to be dictatorial with them. He smiles when he talks to them. Menchaca sued the city, settled for $3,000. His lawyer, Alicio Guana, predicted more trouble ahead for Fritz. "He's the kind of officer who loves action," the lawyer said. He was suspended for 5 days for not properly safeguarding a pipe bomb and 10 days for smashing a computer screen in his patrol car. You are quoted, Officer Fritz, in the LA Times as saying, "I couldn't get the thing to come on like it was supposed to, so I banged the side." Fritz estimated that he has been the target of 30 to 35 citizen complaints. "I don't know how many I have for sure," he said. "There's no sense in keeping track," you are quoted as saying. He said he made the list. You didn't know you made the list of 44. You said you subsequently were put on desk duty at the West Valley station. In other words, you were taken off the street. You are quoted by the LA Times as saying, "It pisses me off. I've busted my ass for 21 years. But nowadays, if you're a good copper, either the bad guys will get you on the street or the department will. Since Rodney King, the department is always out to flat bury you when a citizen complains." You wanted to add to that, Mr. Officer Fritz.
I'd just like to clarify 2 things on that. First, when they talk about Mr. Menchaca, yeah, I had 7 gang members lined up. All 7 of these guys I know. They're all armed robbery suspects. They've all done time for it. He decides that he's going to go for it. He drops his hands, throws a punch at me. I blocked the punch away and palmed him in the chest. He trips over where you pull your car in and stops against the cement block, and he falls through the window. There was a piece of glass probably 12 foot long that was sitting above his head like a guillotine. I chose to pull him out of there instead of watching the glass take his head off. I pulled him out, he fought with me again, and I put him on the ground and I handcuffed him. The city chose to pay the man $3,000, it's my understanding, while he was doing time in Folsom Prison for an armed robbery. As far as the days off that I've taken suspended, safeguarding a bomb, okay, hey, you know, whatever. But with the way they write that about banging the computer, I tapped the computer on the side. It was sitting in 105-degree weather with all the windows rolled up in the car.
And it exploded.
And the screen shattered. I took 10 days for that because I had a lieutenant that was headhunting.
So
period.
what's up here? What's up here? Is this, in the heat of Rodney King, is this get the cops time? I'm asking you. And do we have your understanding that we have racist cops like we have racist talk show hosts?
Well, Phil, I'm going to tell you.
Racist news directors, racist assistant prosecutors. We cannot be surprised at that. But it looks more and more like we've got an increasingly anxious constabulary that is likely to punch somebody out faster than was once the case.
No, that's only
I'm
if
not
you read the
accusing you
Times.
of it. I'm just wondering aloud, and can you grant us that possibility?
No, I won't grant you that. To me, that's only in the Times or the other newspapers. This is one thing that I want to say. In 21 years as a street cop, I've worked everything there. I worked 2 tours in Vice. I was a dope cop for 6 years. I've worked crime suppression units. I've worked gang suppression units. I'm a qualified narcotics expert. I'm a qualified gang expert. I'm a qualified Department of Self-Defense expert. I've busted my buns. I have never mistreated a man. I have never hit a handcuffed prisoner. I've had handcuffed prisoners kick me in the face, but they never got hit. They got took to the ground and they got their legs tied up, which we use hobble cords for, but I have never struck one.
It's an awfully long way, though, from the parking lot through a plate glass window, it seems to me. And I don't know anything at all about the place, but just when you say he tripped over a device that keeps cars from going forward, it would strike me that that's in a parking lot. And a plate glass window in a parking lot would be a very unusual configuration.
Proximity of the guardrail to the plate glass.
I have a little trouble.
Well, not only that, he pulled the guy out and prevented his head from being chopped off from it.
The way this
he's
building
in there, he's better off on the other side.
Well,
You know what, Mr. Donahue,
Please.
you know what? He's an attorney. He's getting on that LAPD lotto. And that's all he's doing.
What does that mean,
The
LAPD?
LAPD lotto.
A lawsuit, you pick up a fast buck.
LAPD lotto. LAPD lotto. Here's an LAPD lotto, and here's how you get on the Christopher Commission list. 6 allegations. That's all. Just 6 allegations. Not confirmed. You did this. You hit this. You did that. You may have done this. We're looking for a male green who every day between 12 noon and 4 p.m. crawls into an old lady's house between 60 and 70 years old and rapes them and then burglarizes their house. We're driving down the street. His MO is he has a shopping cart and he crawls in through a window. You're driving down the street with your partner, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you see a shopping cart there and a screen off and the window open. Hey partner, this could be it. You set up on the house, you request a backup. While you're waiting for backup, the male green with the beard comes to the window, sees you hear a lady scream, and he's out the back door. The chase is on. Over a fence, down the alley, over a fence, down an alley, you take stitches, a couple pit bulls, and you're on the move. He's now on the main boulevard. You've chased him for about a half a mile. You're trying to catch him. Technically, per the state of California and Los Angeles, if he's going to get away from you, he is such a serious danger to the community. He's already raped and hurt 10 elderly women. You could shoot him in the back if he's getting away from you. But we don't. We're not going to say, well, I'm in such bad shape, I had to shoot him in the back so he doesn't get away.
I don't believe that's the law.
That is the law.
That's not the law in LA.
Let me understand you here, Officer Cuisine.
That's
I want to make sure, I'm not sure I understand your point. This is a hypothet you're setting up.
No, this is true stories. This is a true story.
And tell me about the law now. Explain to this.
If a Richard Ramirez, a hardcore felon who is hurting people and killing people
But you don't know that at the time you're making the arrest, so let's just keep it about...
No. If you have if you have, help me out, Mo, prior knowledge. He has a shopping cart, he has a green beard, he's hurting these women between this time.
The law allows you to what?
If he's going to get away, and if his getting away could hurt somebody in the community,
the law allows you to shoot him.
You could shoot him.
And if he happens to take a bullet in the back, you as a police officer protecting the general well-being of the community are permitted to take that aggressive action.
Right.
And your point is what?
My point is we very rarely do that. We will run to the end. We run, and then when we go to catch him, you've already ran a half a mile. You go to catch him, he knows he's going to get caught. We're in good shape. He's in tennis shoes. We're at 40 pounds of equipment. Right. And right before you lay your hand up, now you're half a mile from where this happened.
Right.
Helicopters are coming. He stops. He turns around, and he kicks you as hard as he can in the groin and puts your groin up in your stomach. Now, not only do you have to take him into custody, you have to keep control of your gun and try not to look bad to the community. So now you're hitting him, he's hitting you, the fight's on. Somebody else pulls up to help you, they take him into custody. 20 people, and you're out here. 20 of you people watch that. 18 of you say, right on, good job. One of you doesn't like it.
And calls a lawyer.
No, we're not at the lotto yet. Tells a friend.
Yeah.
Tells a friend who tells another friend who really doesn't like it, and they call in and make a complaint. You got a number complaint. You have a complaint.
I see.
I just risked my life for the community.
He's risked his
Not
life.
only that, not only they make a complaint, you're in the LA Times on Sunday. How many lawyers are going to have their names printed for this or that without any due process, without any opportunity? You got it. Now we're counting on you, attorney at law.
It's a wonderful story, but I want to point out something, Phil. The guys wearing tasseled shoes on this platform are the police officers, not the lawyers. This LA lotto business is a lot of nonsense. I've represented people who've been thrown off buildings by police officers. Thrown off buildings by police officers.
That doesn't
in the
speak
city
to
of
their
New York.
complaint.
Was that in the city of Los
I
Angeles?
want to ask you, sir, were you there when they were thrown off? Or are you taking their word for it?
Was that in the city of Los Angeles?
I'm taking the word for witnesses.
Now the
I've
lotto,
seen
then,
executions.
there's a lawyer out there that will handle the case of the suspect who says the cop this, the cop that. All of a sudden, not only are you accused of something, it goes on your record, you may be taken off the street working the job of a woman who is pregnant or not. I think I see this.
Going, fool.
And the LAPD is saying that Rodney King and the hysteria that swept over the world
That's not hysteria.
has made it difficult for the prejudice has made it difficult for the good cops to do their job without being.
That's not so.
All right, and
I've seen
I'll give you a
executions
chance.
by police officers.
I'll give you a chance to make your case in just a moment.
To be part of the audience, please send a postcard to Donahue Tickets, care of NBC, 30 Rockefeller Plaza, New York, New York, 10112. Remember, postcards only, please.
Coming to the text. Hi, I'm glad you called. You had a brief comment.
Yeah, I think the police in New York City are getting a totally raw deal, okay? About the rally a couple of weeks ago.
Let me just set this up now. We've got so many cities we can cover in one show. Several thousand New York City police officers in civilian clothes, most of whom we can presume were carrying their service revolvers, some of whom were drinking beer out of a can, demonstrated against City Hall. There was a videotape taken. The word nigger was heard, as it may have been directed at the African-American Mayor Dinkins of New York, police officers complaining about the suggestion that we have a civilian review board for the city of New York. This woman wanted to say what?
Okay, first of all, Mayor Dinkins was wrong to publicly support Hosea Garcia's family without giving equal and public support to the police. And I'd like to know why in New York City, how come Al Sharpton and his friends can have a day of outrage demonstrations?
The Hispanic person about whom you speak was shot and killed by a police officer in an altercation that was subsequently demonstrated to be a shooting that in no way indicted the officer. The mayor visited the relatives of the victim, thereby enraging some members of the New York Police Department. Yeah, you know, look, we can only try one case at a time here, but why don't you just make your point? Okay,
my point is, how come there are a day of outrages that Al Sharpton runs? They block major city thoroughfares. They have demonstrations through all kinds of neighborhoods. but the police have one rally, a few curses are heard, and all of a sudden Mayor Dinkins condemns it as a mayor disturbance and he wants heads to roll.
Well, you don't want your cops calling the mayor a nigger. Can we agree to that? Okay. And incidentally, the investigation is ongoing. Actually, they have ID'd some of these officers on a videotape. Are you there? Hi.
Yes.
What do you think?
What I was calling about is, right now you're dealing with all the problems that you're having in your larger cities, which is fine. There is corruption there. However, these guys are out doing their job, risking their life on and off the job. And when that guy pulled up there, what if it had been somebody's father in that car?
Yeah.
What if they'd have been afraid to get out of their car to handle the situation? If that guy hadn't have got out and people had traveled to the next stoplight, and it was my parents sitting in the car that they were blocking,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, he prevented a crime from happening.
Yeah.
Why don't they deal with things that go on in smaller cities? I live in a small town in Kentucky. We have a policeman that's been arrested for making bomb threats. In Evansville, Indiana, a policeman is being on trial right now for murdering a dispatcher. He's married. He went in, killed her, slashed her face, killed her dog, set her apartment on fire, and then went in to play this real sad scenario about how he was a caring person.
I'm glad you called, I think. Are you there? Hi.
Yes, I think, hello?
What?
Yes, I think that these police officers are just making excuses. They're bad cops and they ought to face it.
What? Yeah.
And about the guy, Mr. Cuisine there,
Yeah.
doing the job of a pregnant woman,
Yeah.
I think that officers like him should be off the street.
Well, you're going to have to... Are you there? Hi.
I'd like to address this code of silence.
Yes.
I think that what they do is they do cover for each other. And if there is one bad one, the other guys should get together and rout this guy out.
I think so, too. That may be tougher. That may be more difficult. Yeah. We'll be back to give this audience an opportunity to get in this, and we'll be back in just a moment. Yes, ma'am, you wanted to say.
My question is, how much training do you get, and what kind of situations do they theoretically throw at you? And do you talk about the situations afterwards?
Yes, we do.
So discuss how you're going to treat them?
Yes, the Los Angeles Police Department is by far the best trained police department in the United States. We go through a 6-month academy, and we receive 960 hours of training. Once we graduate from the Los Angeles Police Department, you're placed on probation for an entire year, and you're rated. It starts off weekly, then bi-weekly, then monthly.
Okay.
Once you complete your probation real quick, you're constantly receiving roll call training every day, and training, and these are actual situations that happen in the street from training officers such as myself, Fritz, and Hank. And then also you have training films. We're really innovative.
John Painter, Captain, American Rangers, Arlington, Texas. You train police officers in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. One of the points you make, Captain Painter, is that beauticians have to put in more hours to be able to cut your hair.
That's right.
Then officers need to carry guns and deal with... Make your points.
1,500 hours in Texas to become a beautician, 440 hours to become a police officer, and that is not training for tactical defense techniques, which is what we're talking about here. That's less than 40 hours. Sometimes that's 1 to 2 classes for some officers. It's more in L.A., I understand, and it needs to be more everywhere. Part of the problem we're dealing with is that officers on the street are frightened. People don't understand that. They're not RoboCop. They're frightened. They don't go home and recharge their batteries like the officer just said a moment ago. They are facing life and death. You can pull up in a police cruiser to a little old lady on the street and go up to a routine traffic stop and get blown away. That happens. There are police officers who do bad things, just like there are other people who do bad things, but it's more focused on them. There are many problems with this.
I'll tell you what I see, though, gentlemen. If I may just make this observation, I'll be with you.
Problem is poor training and not enough of it.
I'll be right there. Here's, first of all, crack, drugs. You know, we do have a lot more people out there that will hurt you.
Absolutely.
Capable of antisocial behavior to a fare thee well. We also have certainly, who's going to argue, undermanned police departments.
Yes.
You know, I can understand, you know, how much abuse am I supposed to take? You know what I mean?
As a police officer?
Yeah. You know, how much, there is a limit. you know, I had
that's not what causes
wait a
the
minute.
problem.
I had a fight with my wife last night. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I worked double shift. Maybe there, you know, other things.
You're a human being too.
I'll tell you something else. If I punch you out, if you happen to be, let's take, for example, a minority person, the kind of person we see with the coat over the head on the evening news going off to jail, if I punch you out today, if I'm a white cop and I punch you out, I'm going to get considerable support from the majority of the white community that I serve in my city.
That's most likely true.
Now, that makes it easier for a cop to cross the line.
Yes.
And in a way, we've got ourselves a situation in America today that has opened the door wider for police abuse. Abuse that, and I make no comment at all on these gentlemen, abuse that might not otherwise have happened in the more civil times of the past. So now the question has to be, what are we going to do about it? How important is the Bill of Rights to you?
Very important.
Well, but it doesn't seem to be as important to an increasingly anxious constituency putting another lock on the door.
You're not going to legislate police officers or anybody else. More legislation is not the answer. Better training, better knowledge, better ability. When a man is on the street, Phil, and he is faced with a dangerous situation, as you said a moment ago, instantly, he has to make a decision very fast.
Well, that's always been true.
Yes, it is true. But today, now he has to have in the back of his mind, what's going to happen here? Am I going to get in trouble?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I hear a lot of pouting.
Oh, absolutely.
Boy, oh boy, you don't ever want to accuse a cop of being aggressive. They will give you an 18-minute speech about how they risk their lives, about how they work hard, about how they go to the church picnic, about how they love babies, about how the number of pregnant women they've rushed to the hospital. Teachers are like this.
And now trainers
you can't
are
criticize teachers. You can't criticize cops. Holy cow, they bleed. And, you know, this is wrong. We've got to be able to talk about this without appearing to insult people.
Absolutely. Trainers.
You know, getting back to what you were just saying about the race issue, it's not a black thing. It's not a white thing. It's the citizens are misinformed. That's what it's all about. The newspapers have portrayed us for so long as being out of control. You know, like we go out.
Media has overstated the
motion pictures as well.
Yeah, just like, you know, people see pictures.
Blames the media for everything.
Let him make his point.
It's not.
Let him make his point.
Officer
Landry, if you wanted to say, sir.
Yeah, and well, just like the attorney here, this is his forum to try to convert people to say, well, these officers are out of control. That's not the case.
Yeah.
Phil, you know what? We have a saying in L.A.
What is it?
That is, there are no black, there are no white, there are no Hispanic, and there are no Asian police officers. We're all blue and we all bleed red.
Exactly.
Okay?
And for one quick point.
Now,
one quick point.
If Rodney King was white, he'd have taken all those hits?
Exactly.
No, you bet.
Yeah. But that doesn't make it right.
Let me explain something to you.
I'll give you a chance. Let me give you an uninterrupted chance. We'll be back in just a moment.
For a transcript of Donahue, send $3 to Journal Graphics, 1535 Grant Street, Denver, Colorado, 80203, or call 303-831-9000. To order a video cassette for only $24.95, just call 1-800-FOR-VIDEO.
Oh, you're with a short speech.
Yeah. Attorney at law Harvey Whites, you've been very patient here. You are a personal injury lawyer. You've handled a $76 million settlement for a citizen who complained about police brutality in Coney Island. You agree there's a lack of training for officers, but just because you're a lawyer doesn't mean you don't get to speak. You wanted to say briefly, please.
The kinds of things that you've been talking about are not the kinds of...
You better not dismiss these police officers now. You know what I mean? You can't... Don't be talking about tassels on the shoes. That doesn't flatter you. But do make your point. I mean, there is another side.
The kinds of things that you've been talking about are not the kinds of things that the public is complaining about and what is causing a loss of confidence in the police department.
What is it?
People getting shot in the back, people being thrown off roofs, people who are naked and disarmed, being executed. And I've seen that. I've handled that in over 30 years of handling cases against police. And the real problem, the terrible problem is when the authorities recognize that they have bad people on the force.
Yeah.
They do nothing about it. They defend these cases. They slander the people who were injured.
Yeah.
They slander the families of these people who were killed and try to cover up the events. That $76 million case was a black man and a white man in an automobile who were shot at by police who claimed they had a gun pointed at them, when in fact there were no guns. And their superior officers immediately started to cover up the case.
So of the thousands and thousands of collisions between the police and the citizenry we're going to have these, does it necessarily follow then that these folks should have their names in the paper and should be accused of all these
police, I'm not talking about whether their names should have been leaked.
You think it's worse now, do you? You think
you
think the cops are roughing up the citizenry with greater frequency?
I think there's more confrontation. Yes.
Officer Cuisine, here are some of the things that have made the print that you are alleged to have said. This is number 10. You get in my face, I'm going to fight back. You swing at me, I'm going to knock you off your feet. And you pull a gun, I'll kill you. On the Rodney King incident, this was especially damning to you, Officer Cuisine. You are alleged to have said they were swinging those batons like little girls. They should have laid some good chops on him. 3 or 4 good chops. Chop, chop. And that would have been the end of it.
Oh, okay, you hear those oohs and boos? Would you rather see 4 policemen hit a guy 60 times or 2 policemen hit a guy 3 times and take him into custody? 3 times. We'd rather not see him hit at all, but the whole world can't go around not getting hit at all.
Cuffed on the ground.
They cannot go around.
On the ground, there's no reason.
Ma'am, he was not cuffed.
Not cuffed.
This guy had risked 300 people's lives. If he'd have taken your family's life out in an intersection, you would have turned just around the opposite and said, well, why didn't the cops do something?
Why'd they let him drive like that?
We don't carry crystal balls out there.
And we don't like to see anybody hit at all, no matter how brutal you think we are.
It's not designed to be lethal in the first place.
Yeah,
but it can be.
Like you're all condoning that it's okay to hit
people.
No, it's not designed to be lethal.
We're not listening. You're not listening at all.
It's not okay to hit people if they're not doing anything to you, or if they're not in the process of arrest.
You've got to realize that these officers had a lot of their factors, a lot of good techniques were taken away from us. That should never have happened. I am not condoning that in any way, shape, or form.
Yes.
That is not right.
Now, many of the trainers today are wandering around trying to figure out how to devise methods so that officers can go out on the street and still take somebody down and handcuff them without hurting them or without offending somebody's sensibilities.
Captain,
and that's hamstringing them.
Yeah, Captain Painter, give us your demo. Make your case. I think you have
Yeah. Well, Harry's going to assist me for a second, if you don't mind. What we're going to do is show you a little bit about what used to happen on the street and what now can happen. Okay. This, by the way, I'm not pointing a gun at the audience. This looks like a real gun, but it's actually a toy. You can buy this in any department store, hold up a store with it if you want to. It only costs about $2. It's a rubber training knife. This is what's available.
Let's go.
What's available. Normally, if somebody would attack you, Harry would attack them and punch them, and you would hit them and strike them and punch them out. With our PKC method, stand back here, Harry. When he attacks me, I just use a little bit of body energy to move him back and away from me. That is not excessive violence. It doesn't hurt him. If he tries to punch me, instead of trying to punch him out, I simply take him down, put him in a place, and cuff him. This, again, is not excessive violence. Are you hurt, Harry? No. No. Say no louder.
Officer Cuisine wants to make what point?
But even look at that at 12 o'clock in the afternoon outside a chicken stand or a church, and 3 policemen standing around, and one grabbing a guy, a big guy, throwing a guy, slamming him like Fred Flintstone, bam, bam, around. How does the people look at that? Holy smokes, look what they're doing to that guy. You don't know what that guy just did. You have no idea what that man just did there. Yeah. No idea.
That's not what people are complaining about.
And if it's a minority person being slammed to the ground and minority viewers and a white cop, you're saying this is going to get you in the LA Times for abusive, excessive force.
Just an allegation. We handle 35 to 40 radio calls a night. A night, people call us to their house, eyes closed, lips out. My husband did this, my boyfriend did this to me, do something about it. You go to take him into jail. He's high on drugs, he's drunk, he doesn't want to go to jail, the fight's on. The lady who called, the first one hitting you in the back of the head with an iron or biting you in the neck. What do you want us to do?
Then she comes down to the detectives the next day and drops the charges, okay?
But
meanwhile,
first she makes a complaint to your supervisor.
that night.
Yeah.
And tries to attack
And
you.
now you have a pattern going. You've done it
But you're
twice
in the
5 years.
computer as a guy against whom a complaint has been lodged.
That's
is
right.
that
You're in the computer, and your managers will say, we're doing it to cover you, Hank. We know you didn't stick this guy's head in a fish tank and do all that stuff to him, but we got to take the allegation.
And we'll be back in just a moment. You had a brief comment, caller. Hi.
Yes, hi. I'm an ex-policeman, and I used to be in a police department in Massachusetts. And if you don't look at every potential lawbreaker as a scumbag, a slime ball, and if you don't treat them rough, like the police, you want to be a decent cop and just apprehend and write the facts down and bring them to court, you are a nitwit. You're considered a nitwit by your fellow officers. You're considered worse names than that I won't repeat on television. And they are afraid when they get into a potential altercation.
What was the police force you worked for? Do you mind telling us?
Yes, I do, because I moved out of the city.
Your point is made. You're saying there's a conspiracy among the officers to hate the lawbreaker.
Nobody likes an honest cop that's a cop. No, if you don't go along with the status quo, you are an outcast.
Are you there, caller? Hi.
Hi, I'm a wife of a police officer.
Yeah.
These people are not the ones that get the phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning where their husband is sitting in a hospital bed with his arms broken because he tried to take somebody's husband down who the woman was getting beat on.
Yeah.
They're not the ones that, they don't see what I see when my husband comes home with the pictures of the little kids beaten or anything like that.
Domestic violence is a very, very scary call for any uniformed officer. Ma'am.
That's right. It doesn't matter on anything.
Hang on a minute.
I would like to see the attorney ride 1 week with any one of these gentlemen, 1 40-hour shift, 1 week.
Yes, Bill. I feel sorry for the police.
You do.
I feel sorry for the police.
Yes.
They're on my side. I'm a law-abiding citizen.
Yes, but you have a responsibility. You know what's making me crazy? All the TV shows. Man, cops. You get to knock doors down. I mean, what happened to home is castle? We don't seem to care. There's a reason for the Bill of Rights. There's a reason for the Fourth Amendment.
And what makes us think it only happens to non-law-abiding citizens? It's law-abiding citizens who have the complaints.
Yes.
Hi, I just want to say that I think all you cops try to make yourselves look like the perfect, real American hero. I'd like to see one of you confess, because I've actually seen this happen. And I'd like to see you confess, because if you didn't do anything wrong, then you wouldn't be here today.
Well, that's not fair. Yes, sir.
I'd like to know why thousands of other police officers that
May I have your attention for this young man, please?
I'd like to know why other police officers that you work with, the vast majority, thousands, can fulfill the same dangerous situations that you're supposed to be doing, and can do it without getting 6 allegations against them.
Well, I'd like to respond to that right away.
Good question.
I'd like to respond to that right away.
Those 1,500, they took 1,500 packages. First, they're looking for a way out to put something on Rodney King. They pulled 1,500 packages, and ours come out to be a top 44. There's guys with way more worse stuff than us. Well, we also 1,500 is us.
Yeah. Sir.
I'm also a law-abiding citizen, as she is over there. And I just want to say that I have watched the police have been threatening myself and the African-American community and the Latino community. I've seen them come up to me. They even harass me, and I'm just telling you, I'm tired of it, and something needs to be done.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we know what happened to the first guy over here. You're behind a desk now. What happened to the other 2, since you're on that list?
Well, I'm working South Bureau Homicide right now. I've been inside for the last 4 years, and I still go out and actively chase murder suspects, Chicago.
Yeah. Officer Fritz, have you been desked?
Yes, sir. 21 years, I've had 21 complaints, and I'm flying a desk.
Officer Cuisine, you are desked as well.
I'm desked, and you know, to your answer, you make another policeman may only make 2.
Sir.
I just think that, from what I've been hearing, that I think LA's trying to make excuses and trying to make some scapegoats out of some pretty good cops, because I know a lot of cops, and they're really good men.
What happens now? What happens? You're not going to jail. Nobody's being sued on this stage. You're still with the force.
Well, I'd just like to say that the Los Angeles Police Department is the best organization around. I would invite the New Yorkers here to come out and have a ride-alongs. We have an open-door policy, and our community-based policing is just getting online, and you're going to see great things in the future.
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the following.
Dulcolax has it. X-Lax and Correctol don't. Only Dulcolax has this comfort coating designed to protect your stomach. Experience the comfort of Dulcolax.
Nobody's too young to play the Monopoly game.
Yeah, there's the Monopoly Junior game for kids just like you. You can get rich. Like Monopoly. It's fun.
Like Monopoly, the Monopoly Junior game.
Guest accommodations provided by the luxurious Drake Hotel, a Swiss hotel on Park Avenue at 56th Street. Call 800-DRAKE-NY and ask about our weekend getaway and honeymoon packages.